Right, the washing is on. The dishes need to be done next. But I've just been having a think to myself. Is Britain broken?
After 25 years living in London, I've returned to my birthplace amongst the mountains of the South Wales valleys. Join me as I journey my new life with plans of growing my own food and ultimately creating my own homestead. Videos are posted every week, so if you like this one, give the video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.
Hello, welcome back. I've got myself into a bit of a funk recently. When you watch so much social media, you're likely to think that Britain is falling apart, the world's coming to an end. But as somebody who used to work in the media, I'm also aware that if you expose yourself to too much of this, you can actually start to believe that the place is falling apart and that everything's going to collapse just because you're living in an echo chamber and that's all you see every day. Like, for example, when I lived in London, you would see social media posts saying that the place was falling apart, where the reality of the area that I lived in, you saw very few things. Okay, you saw the occasional stabbing and the shooting, and maybe you get used to that when it happens on a regular basis. I remember when I first came back to the valley, somebody was stabbed about 6 weeks after I came here, and everybody was, ooh, what's going on? What's going on down there? There's helicopters flying over. And everybody going, oh, somebody's been stabbed. Oh, I know, shocking. And I said, in London, it would be more shocking if somebody didn't get stabbed. Then you'd start to ask questions, what was going on? So you become a bit blasé to it in the end. So I've been seeing on social media in the past week or two about all the lawlessness in London, and I'm trying to work out in my head, is it actually going on, or is it just a bit too, we've been shown the same things over and over again, when in reality it isn't that bad. I remember when I worked at ITV, there was a discussion about changing the opening titles to a TV show that I worked on, because we all thought they were a bit boring. And as somebody said to us, don't forget, the viewing public get to see this TV show once a week. We get to see it every single day. So we're going to get fed up of like the opening titles and the music and everything a lot quicker than everybody else. And that's what I've tried to say with this channel. I've gone in the past, every few months I've got fed up with the music, so I've changed it, or I've changed the opening titles and everything, just because I want it to be kept fresh. But to everybody else it's a bit confusing because it keeps changing, because they would only ever watch the videos once a week, whereas I got to watch them every day because I was working on them. So I don't know, I'm trying to work out in my head, when you see these protests that are going on up and down the country at the moment outside the hotels, I'm trying to work out, is Britain actually broken, or is it just an echo chamber that social media, because you watch one thing, it then feeds you up exactly the same thing? Like, for example, I watched a clip of I think her name was Carol Burnett show, big show in the 70s, I think, in America. And I watched 1 or 2 clips of that, and now every time I go onto the internet, that's all I get. In fact, I had an offer this morning to watch a 24-hour feed of all her shows. So that is the problem with social media. You watch the one video and then it keeps giving you the same thing over and over again. So maybe it's not as bad as what social media's making out. Maybe there are just 1 or 2 little protests going off all over the country, but when you put them together, it feels like the country's falling apart. So then I thought, put that to one side, and you've got to talk about personal experience. Now, when I lived in London, I had a doctor, a dentist, a vet, had everything. And they were there, you could phone up, and you could get through, and they could go, right, we'll book you in for an appointment. Okay, the appointment might not be for a week or 2, but you could book yourself in. The reality of being back here is I haven't got a doctor and I haven't got a dentist. And when I went to the dentist a few weeks ago, the only way I could get in was to pay. So I had my teeth scraped, and that was £91. Which, thinking about it, it would have been cheaper to have caught the train, gone back to London and had it done there. So from that point of view, I can see how people outside the capital cities could think that the country's falling apart. It's been easier for me to find a vet for the cats than it is to find a doctor, and I'm still in the process of trying to find a doctor. So I've been given a tip off of somewhere to go. It's a bit further down the valley than being on the doorstep. Because if you've got a service like a doctor's then, and the doctor can only serve, I don't know, 5,000 people on their books, and there's 10,000 people in the village, then obviously there's going to be an issue. But they don't seem to think, right, there's an issue, let's put another doctor in. Maybe that's a bigger debate of things that I'm not aware of. Maybe there aren't enough doctors here, maybe they're all going away somewhere to go and live for better wages. I don't know about that. Amber's come downstairs. Let me go and open the window for her. So the only problem is Amber's just gone out and Ollie's tried to go, but Ollie can stay in. So yes, once you see all these things on the internet, you think the world is falling apart, you've got to step back and sort of go, is that really happening? What's happening in my own little space in the world? Since taking Ollie down to the homestead, he's getting very adventurous to want to go out into the garden. And the other night he was walking on the roof. But there are a few little holes in this wall that I want to plug in first before I allow him out. Just in case he goes to explore and puts his head into one of these holes. Oh, that's all it is in this house, dishes. I've been going about the last week or two without the car. It's been quite nice to get back on the bus. When you just pop down to the shops. Nice to have that interaction with people on the bus. So I know a lot of people will think, because they've said to me, we come to your channel to get away from the troubles of the world. But the problem is, this channel is a diary of what I get up to. And it's also a diary of what I think. And this is what I've been thinking over the last week or two. So I'm going to take a step away from social media and not look at my accounts for a while. Just try to regroup a bit. I'll still be doing this whatever this is. But I just won't be going on to check the news to see what's going on in the world. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do about it. So we just need to keep calm and carry on. I've got a chicken in the fridge. I pulled it out of the freezer the other day because I wanted it for my Sunday lunch. And I was told put it in the fridge. So I did that. 24 hours later, the centre was still frozen. So how do you do your chicken? If you've got a frozen breast of chicken, how do you prepare it? Now, for some reason, I had in my head, do not bring it out and put it in the kitchen, even though it would have a cover on top, because I had something in my head that if it defrosts too fast, that's as bad as cooking it if it was still frozen in the middle. I don't know if that's true. I should have asked my butcher friend when I saw him yesterday, because he called up to the homestead to drop off a blue barrel for me. So I've now got 3. So I can set up my rain harvesting device. And I don't think it'll take too long for them to fill up. Not in this weather, because the summer is certainly gone. And in fact, I was looking at the homestead webcam last night, and it got down to 8 degrees, which I think is rather cold for July. In fact, the last few days I've put the heating back on. It's been so cold here. So, I don't know. Try and put a smile on the day. Like I've said before, all it is in this house is just cleaning. I thought having a small house you wouldn't do as much. Right, that's done. Now, I'm going to pop down the homestead. I'm going to get changed because I don't want to dirty this. I'm going to pop down the homestead and hold on to your hats. But I plan to do a bit of weeding. Well, I'm feeling somewhat exhausted. I can't work out whether it's chasing after this one or whether because I've been weeding in the lavender. So I smell a bit all over my hands, and beautiful it is too. So we're going to have some water and a cup of tea, and then we're going to head home for our afternoon sleep. Well, I was just about to leave, and I thought, let me just do a little bit more. So I've ended up finishing the weeding all on the lavender on the right hand side, but I'm definitely going home now. My back is certainly telling me that it's been worked. So come on, Ollie, get your bag, we're off. Plus, I've got a delivery of birdseed coming this afternoon. Come on, Ollie, come on. Let's pack our bags and get out of here. Ollie, come on. I went home. Ollie's gone to bed. And a few hours later I thought, let me just meander back down to the old homestead. Lavender, it's looking rather wonderful. Now I'm thinking, that bed there has celeriac in. I might give that a bit of a tickle. So I've just been doing this side as well. I'm about a quarter of the way down, but all of a sudden it has suddenly become warm and the bees are out, so I'm going to stop. So I'm definitely going to go home now, have something to eat. In fact, I don't even know what the time is. I'll have to bring a clock down and put it on the walls. But I'm going to head home now and have a nice cup of tea. Dot and Brian are having lunch. Only £15 per person. I think I'll put my name down for that. Now, let's go up here. One of the neighbours likes to stand in her window and just watch me for hours. So I've worked out that if I can put a piece of wood on the top of the gate, that will stop her, because it is quite unnerving. You're enjoying a nice cup of tea, you look up and there's a face looking at you. straight, isn't it? That will put pay to prying eyes. So I've just got some multi-purpose compost, nothing special. And I'm going to put a pot in the middle because it'll make it easier for transplanting the cucumber, which is what I'm doing today. I'm going to transplant it into a bigger pot so I can grow it on in the summer house. Get the fingers down. There you go. Fingers in the side. Don't necessarily want it all up to the rim. Just make sure it's nice and firm, like so. And then we take some soil out from the middle pot and then just lift that out. And then when we come to transplant, it's a case of just gently pushing it out because of those roots. Pop it in, give it a shake, slightly firm it in, and now I will continue to water from the bottom because cucumbers don't like having water sitting around their stem. That leaf there's turned yellow. I'm going to take them off. And I will also start feeding it once it's settled, so maybe in the next week. But there you go. Pop that in the corner so we can get a bit of sunshine. Now, one of the things I would like to change about the homestead is to move the shed. I would like that by the door. Nice easy access for when I come onto the plot, and I've got an idea of how I want to use this space towards the bottom, and I want an area to sit and look at the river, and the shed now is in the way, so the plan is to move it. Now when I put the roof on, I only had these long screws, so I need to come with an angle grinder and just chop them off, so that's one task. Also sort out what I want to keep and what I want to throw out, and then once I've done that I can then start to dismantle it and move it over to the other side of the homestead. Now this is on a concrete base, so I'm going to use that in order to put tables and chairs, so I can just sit here and look at the river as it goes by and enjoy a nice cup of tea, maybe even a cream slice.